Hello, everyone, and welcome to. I guess I'll just call this like reviewing content, just of any sort, right? Now, obviously, my political opinions are basically like I don't fucking give a fuck, right? I'll watch whatever side it is, just to see. Now, for me, I'm a personal, like, investment guy, right? Like, so if I personally like the content that I see, I might watch that person again, right? But then if I don't, I might not, right? Um, like a good example, like I don't watch quartering, but I might watch like I don't know, like Ripaverse and stuff, right? I don't real like I sometimes occasionally watch side scrollers as well. It's not really that they're anti-woke. It's that just interesting stuff sometimes. Then you also have the opposite end, the woke side. Like I used to watch certain streamers like Westside Tyler and Xander Hall, and I occasionally like Dead Domain and stuff. It doesn't mean like I, you know, think that all everything everyone says on those lines, especially Xander Hall, that fucking dude. That dude was funny for like 2 fucking months, and then like he had this fucking mental illness spiral, and it was just yeah. Dude just was unwatchable so fucking quickly. I don't know how. Like Westside Tyler is still cool sometimes. Dead Domain is actually honestly I'm as much as it sounds weird for some people, I'm starting to become a Dead Domain simp of all things, right? Like that's the thing, right? Like people say, oh, but like she had a spurg at Synthetic Command. I'm like, okay, so like I fucking give a shit. I also don't really care about Synthetic Man that much, to be fair, either. Like, yeah, his content's like kind of edgy. It's also kind of boring. Like it's that weird. Like it's edgy, but like when you realize he just sucks at fucking video games, like dude can't beat fucking Black Myth Wukong um like a lot of other games I don't really struggle with. Yeah, I'm not very good at like Souls likes either, right? But I'm better at them than him, and it's just like, goddamn, dude, like just stop fucking sucking at video games, you know? Like he's a fan of Kingdom Hearts. I wonder if he's only played the U.S. versions, because I highly doubt he would actually survive on critical Terra, for example, if you know if he played like the Japanese final mix release of that game. I bet you he doesn't even know like Terra is a fighting cage too. You know what I mean? Like I'm pretty sure he's played American only, where Cage 2 is fucking slop. Like objectively, Cage 2, like even standard and proud, right? On Cage 2, like final mix, have enough challenges that they can be fun, um, regardless, right? Now, critical mode is fun, like no matter what it is, um, but like you don't have to play critical mode to enjoy it on that either, right? Is what I'm saying. Like basically, critical mode would make vanilla Cage too fun, but like the super bosses and Heartless in the like the 13 mushroom 13 make Kingdom Hearts 2 way better of a game, right? Like all the bonus shit, the Cavern of Remembrance, the Mushroom 13, and the data fights and the other org fights that you can miss out on and stuff because they're just like absent silhouettes or something, right? That's the game, right? The Terra fight is the game. They like it's weird, but like the actual vanilla Cage 2 isn't the game that you want to play. Um, but yeah, critical mode obviously makes it even better. But you know, like you don't even need to play critical mode. You just need to play final mix and actually try to beat everything in it. But critical mode, you know, obviously it has enough that even, you know, that even without that, it's still a better game. Anyway, let's continue this.
Literally every single time any piece of new media comes out, and it's really starting to piss me off. That's right, for this week's Media Monday, we're going to be talking about anti-woke content slop. The people who put out...
It is slop. Like, I feel like the problem with anti-woke slop is that it's slop that makes you sad, right? Like, what's the point of anti-woke slop, right? Like the only one, like I said, I like Ripperverse. The only one that I think like ever has anything positive about like their own side is fucking Ripperverse, because he's the only one making shit. Because that's how you get positive nude on your own side. You make shit. Otherwise, it's always like conspiratorial nonsense and retardation and stuff. You start making your own shit, you can stop bitching about the other side all the time and start making your own shit. And then suddenly the problems of the other side go away because you realize that, you know, the U.S. population is about 400 million and the U.S. prison population is about 2 million. And about half of those guys are illegal immigrants and the other half are murderers or repeat offenders that'll keep coming back. So less than 0.5% of the United States population commits crimes. Right? And you're like, oh, wait, why am I afraid of like 1 in 2,000, right? But that's what people are. Like, they're afraid of 1 in 2,000 chances of getting like some crime happening to them, right? To be fair, if you're a store owner, that's bad, right? Which is why you have a gun, right? Because then, if that happens, you can protect yourself, and it tends to not go well for the criminals if the store owner actually protects themselves, right? Doesn't matter what they come in with. The store owner tends to have a good view at the front of the store, so if they've got like a weapon to brandish, they can just pull it out right there, right? It actually happened in one of the stories that was at one time. There's a guy with like I think it was an AR-15, but like it was like stylized with wood, so and stuff. So I had someone say it was an AK-47. I don't think it was an AK-47. I think it was just a semi-automatic sports rifle that kind of had like, you know, because AR-15s are modular, so you can get them to look like a lot of other guns. Like vaguely at least, so that's probably what it was, right? But anyway, he got shot with a shotgun and died while trying to rob the store. And he didn't go out well for him. He just kicked the door open and started saying shit and got shot. Yeah, that's what happens, right? Like, why would anyone put up with that, right? And that's the thing, like, problem solved. You know, like, a dude took a leave of paid absence and was happy as shit. Yeah, goddamn, like that's kind of the thing, right? Like, sometimes you just gotta, like, protect yourself, basics, and as a store owner, but otherwise, that's about it. And remember, this was in Cleveland, where, like, most of the crime in, like, Ohio is, right? And, like, the 1.8 is the entire U.S. population, right? The 1.8 mil. So, think about it this way. Less than 0.5% of the population is doing anything like you would even give a shit about. And then less than 1/4 of that is, like, things that would happen related to that, like, incident. So, you have about 1.1%. Right, 1 in 10,000 of that guy occurring. But you should still prepare for it. But you should prepare for it, not fear it. Right. That's my problem with like anti-woke content and all this, is that it's fear mongering for something that it's kind of like, who cares? There's another thing like the 1530 or the 1350 prowler. Right. It's not a problem because most people don't commit crimes. Yeah, black people commit more crimes per capita than white people, who the fuck cares? No one's committing them. So like like half of like 10 is 5, right? Okay, well 5 people commit crimes of like 13% of the population, which is about 30 million, like about like 45 million people. Why do I give a shit? Right? And they can never answer that because they don't even know why they give a shit. That's why I don't fucking care. Like, why, like, anyone, like thinks that that's, like, an own or anything. Like, the thing is, I feel like people don't know how few crimes get committed. And so, like, they get stumped up by that. But no, the people who commit crimes are ultimately a societal outlier. Right? And the thing is, that societal outlier, despite being so small, is another kicker that's going to like make you want some prison reform in some way. Each prisoner costs you $200 a day as a taxpayer, right? So think about this. There's 365 of those a year, right? So every prisoner basically, so 200 times 365, you can do the math and basically, get that to effectively, let's just say 300. Let's just shorten it to 300, make the math fucking easier, right? So 200 times 300 is 60,000, right? So 60,000 people, right? $60,000 per person. Now there's 1.8 million prisoners, so like, even cutting off 65 days of years for some reason, we're paying, so multiply it by 60,000, right? And we're keeping the math easy, so we'll do 1.5 million, right? So 1.5 million prisoners times times 60,000, right? 60,000. Well, that equals, well, you can do the math there, about $90 billion. So, obviously I fudged a lot of the math there. So it's clearly well over $100 billion, right? Which is a lot of money. Not too much, but that's a lot of money for a small amount of the population that did bad shit, right? Like, because if you go to prison, you probably did something there, right? And remember, right, like, these are, like, the people in prison most of the time now are, like, actual criminals, obviously. Like, another thing is, like, we decriminalized a lot of, drug stuff because it's worthless. Why are we paying $200 for someone because they smoke some weed? Right? Like, that's really what it comes down to, why people care less about, like, offenses that don't actually do anything, is because why are we paying for that, right? Like, we could have technically 10 times the prison population if we just arrested all the jaywalkers and shit, sure. Jaywalking is a crime, it's a serious crime, right? Well, the reason why we don't is because that's just too much fucking money. Who the fuck wants to pay for that shit, right? So, like, that's the thing. Like, people if it's not, like, a violent crime, people don't go to prison for it anymore. Because who the fuck cares? Who wants to pay for that shit, right? If they're not harming anyone, if they're just doing something that maybe harms themselves, why the fuck do I give a shit?
Such a great take, says.
Do I have to play as a
Why
girl?
do I want to pay for that? Alright, goes to Yote.
Can I play as a guy?
I think that's stupid. The Ghost of Yote shit, it just looks like a fucking retarded shitfest by people. First off, Girl Boss is not in Ghost of Tsushima. Like, Whatever you want to say, it's not girl boss, right? Girl boss is like that fucking feminist archetype of like, you know, it's like girl, like it's like the Legally Blonde is a girl boss, right? That's girl boss. It's like the woman who like it's kind of like a bitch, but she's a bitch because she knows she's right. That's girl boss, right? It's like it's a boss that's a girl, you know. It's girl boss, right? Like you're not like I think they mean femme fatale, which is a different like kind of like thing, or maybe even Mary Sue. Well, yeah, it's probably Mary Sue, not femme fatale. What the fuck am I thinking? Femme fatale. They be simping for those, but like it's probably like they think like Mary Sue, but she's not a Mary Sue either. Like, you know. Like, she's been training for years. She's old as fuck. How is she going to be a Mary Sue when she's clearly had to train her whole life, right? The point of a Mary Sue, like, the real problem is that they know everything off the bat. Or they just learn it, like, it's just like the Force made, the new character of Star Wars just learn everything because the plot said so, right? She went from a slave to like being able to fix a Millennium Falcon the first time she was on it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, some things, no, you know?
I'm in a samurai game. Well, the voice actress for the new character, she's gone to pride parades, and she...
Yeah, I don't really see this as a problem. Like, they're like, she doesn't like Trump, and, she supports trans people. Okay?
She doesn't like the police! Oh my god, what will we do?
Yeah, I agree. Like, that is, like, fucking dumb. Like, first off, why do you like the police, you fucking, like, dudes? Like, the police are shitty, right? Like, sometimes you meet some good cops, but, like, police overall are shitty, right? They do the job, and that's, and you know, I'm grateful for that, but, like, no one likes interacting with police, right? From like certain ends, or it's just not good, right? You know, if you're not like the only people who like interacting with police are like people who think that they can get a dub by like getting someone arrested for something that isn't a crime. And even then they eventually just find out, oh yeah, this isn't a crime, dude, you're just wasting everyone's fucking time. Right, that's like you guys know those dipshits. They always like simp for police, and then they realize, yeah, the police aren't gonna just arrest all your enemies, dude.
Like Ghost of Woke. Bro, what?
Are you kidding me, man? What are these talentless freaks doing? Who cares?
To be fair, a lot of them are talentless. Like I said, Rippaverse is probably like the only one that's not talentless too. It's another thing.
Politics as an
like people
actor.
have dogged like how he made the comic. I'm like, dude, he made the comic though. Like compare that to like quartering, just selling shitty coffee, right? Like my coffee, people like it. Like, no, they don't. They're brainwashed simps, you know. But like, I obviously that's not gonna sell your coffee if you tell them that. But you know that's gonna de-brainwash them, in fact. But they don't like your fucking coffee. Like, they don't dislike it, probably. Like, it probably tastes fine, but it doesn't taste amazing, you know what I mean?
This nonsense happens in everything, and it's so dumb. I'm so tired of seeing this crap. New Metal Gear Solid game?
I just hope I just hope they don't remake it and make it political, you know?
Well, to be fair, that was a joke. I don't know how he fucking fell for that one.
Show off some of the cool animations you did in Concord, which are objectively pretty cool stuff. Woke. Using Unreal Engine to make a game? Yeah, that's woke now. Fellas, is it gay to like buff women?
Oh yeah, this is another thing. Like, so like earlier with like the Concord thing, like I don't like Concord at all, but like I don't think the animations are that particularly great either. But, like, what the fuck is this? Like, they're just showing animations, like, pronouns in bio. Like, dog, they work at a company. That's who started that shit. It wasn't a trans thing. It was a corporate thing. Corporate America fucking like has some weird bullshit with a lot of things that people who never have jobs don't realize is just corporate America, right? Pronouns in bio is 90% corporate America, and then maybe like 5% trans, and then 5% just people fucking with you, right? Most people with pronouns in bio are just people with jobs at like some big corporation. That's all it is. It's soulless, so like they don't actually identify you as like a person. So like, hey, you're dude who works for me. You're chick that works for me. You know? And it's like kind of how it is, right? With like that. Like to put this in perspective, I'm trans now. My actual Twitter, like with my name on it, because I had one of those in a while, has he, him. Because that's how long it's been since I've had a job. I've been trans for like 10 years, and it's been that long, since I've had a job. But like I had a Twitter with my real name on it that has he, him pronouns, right? Because I was working. That's what that meant. And that was like 11, 12 years ago. So to put this in perspective, right? Like, they have you do that as a corporate thing, not as a trans thing. I have not even like put them on anything besides Blue Sky and like occasionally and like Discord since they became loosely associated with transness, right? Because like I don't have a corporate job. Why the fuck, if I'm not interacting with you to be my friend, I don't fucking care, right? About like how what you call me, right? Like, I just call me guy, pal, friendo, whatever, right? Person on the internet, asshole, whatever, right? If you're my friend, yeah, please actually identify me by what I actually want to call. But that's a friend thing, that's a respect thing, that's not a, hey, every single person in the world has to call me that. Like, that's retarded. Like, I don't know you. Why the fuck do I care about if you respect me or not, You can be an asshole to me. I don't fucking care. I can just block you, But, like, if I feel like it's too much, right? You know what I mean? But, like, it's mostly, like, a corporate thing. Like, what was the... oh, yeah, the other thing was, like, using Unreal Engine 5. Which is funny because they will never call Grums out for that same shit. All those people who did that. Which is telling because he uses Unreal Engine 5 specifically. Which is funny. Right? I mean, like, I just find it funny, right? That, like, these people, like, when they have that as their standard, don't actually have it as their standard. It's a massive double standard. Also, Annie Pants Gaming, I'm just going to say this, is a homosexual faggot. He sucks dick. Everyone knows this, by the way. It's not even like he's kind of open about it still. He just literally all his gay jokes are just about him. Like, literally whenever he makes a gay joke, just say mirror, motherfucker.
How is it, like,
that's the thing I've started saying when like someone is clearly talking about themselves. They just start saying mirror.
They even did this to Warhammer.
And it would make me less likely to consume a product if I knew that the people that are making the product actively dislike me based off of something that I can't even control.
Comical amount of diversity.
He can control. Yeah, Synthetic Man. There's a black guy on the thing, so it's woke now. Like, the thing is, like, he's like, it's all subversive propaganda. They can't be like, just someone thought this looked cool, right? That's my problem with Synthetic Man. It's like his Dead Space review, right? Like his Dead Space remake review. It's basically entirely like the corporate propaganda posters in the game that got changed to be more corporate-y and propaganda-y. Can't be because it's a horror game, in that they feel like making it more surreal with that change from like just all white to a mixed race thing would probably like make it more horrific because it's a bit more surrealistic because that kind of happens, but it also still seems off. and it also is a soulless corporation. So, they do that to say, hey, you should work for us because we got black people here and stuff like that, right? So basically, like all the complaints of that game that he has really just go into he's trying to find reasons that were probably put in there for horror reasons as to why it's like just propaganda. In reality, it's just a horror game, and it's more scary if there's more than just white people being killed, right? That's just my view. Like, if only white people are being killed, my thing is, oh, okay, the villain plays favorites, right? So, like, in Dead Space 2, they showed they even killed children, right? Well, okay, so children, men, women, any race, any gender, it doesn't fucking matter, they'll kill them. Yeah, like, that's scary as fuck, right? Like, a good thing, like, with, like, Terrifier, right? Like, in the first movie, Art the Clown mainly stalks women, right? And then like kills more dudes, right? But like he mainly stalks women throughout the movie, right? And so you're like, well, he just kills men in his way and occasionally women, right? And so like that's the sentiment you have in the first film, right? In the second film, he clearly is stalking Jonathan as much as Sienna, though, right? So he stalks Jonathan a lot more. So clearly it's not just women. And also Jonathan's high school age, that's like young kids, but not like really young, right? So he'll stalk kids, but he doesn't kill Jonathan. He just kind of like makes it seem like he'll kill him the whole movie, but like, and even like nibbles on him a bit. So maybe he will. They also show that he did have a kid victim, but this was before the demon transformation, because remember, he transforms into a demon, like, later. And also, it was implied that that person was, like, his first victim. So it's possible that maybe, like, he moved on to adults after snapping from that incident or whatever, and he doesn't actually want to kill kids. But then we have the third movie, where he absolutely does kill kids. And he stalks all kinds of people, right? And that's the thing, right? We're evolving the horror with that by showing that he doesn't have limits in who he kills, right? So, like, another thing is, like, he avoids the police in all three films. But, like, in this third movie, in the intro, right? Well, the secondary intro, because, like, the first intro is, like, just kills his family on Christmas in a Santa suit, but then that was 5 years after the fact. I think that's before the mall scene, by the way. It makes the most sense to me. Could be right after, I don't know. It feels like before because he brought presents, and that would be the most logical like way he would have all those presents, right? But anyway, like like I said, the scene like in the second like scene he kills a cop. So like cops aren't off limits, he just avoids them, tends to just avoid them for like whatever reason or another, right? But he doesn't have to, and sometimes he doesn't. So we're introduced to a lot of like things slowly of this guy is just unpredictable mess. He sets up rules only to break them later. And that's frightening, right? Now, obviously, Art the Clown's also a goof, so it's kind of hard to be scared of the movie itself. Like, if you think about it, it's scary, but, like, the movie itself is, like, a blast. It's kind of, like, very, like, happy vibes, oddly enough. But it's only like that because, like, of how doofy Art the Clown acts, right? Like, he acts like a fucking, like, literal child when he's not killing someone. I'd say even when he is killing someone, right? But like Art the Clown is clearly like all a game in his head. But like, yeah, that's like why the rules keep changing. Because like, like what do kids do with the rules, right? They're the ones that make Monopoly take for like 7 years because they put all these bullshit house rules that make the game take longer. Like you have to go across the board once to buy any property. There's no auctions, hotel, like there's literally been a rule I've like had to play with where hotels and houses did not increase, like the dumbest shit ever. Like, how the fuck do you think the game's gonna end, my guy? You made it take 11 years. Yeah, because like you made it like so every single action takes forever, and like we always have money, so like you basically ruined the game. It just becomes boring. Like people were 7, so like you get the idea, right? I was 7 at one point. I don't think I ever liked those rules when I was 7 though, but like that's kind of the thing, right? Like that's kids make up the rules, so like they keep changing how the rules. So if killing is a game for art and he's like mentally a child, right? You get the idea, like, of how, like, where I'm getting at that with that. But like my thing is like with this, like, yeah, it's a black dude. He looks cool in the armor, right? Looks very strong. He's got that chiseled jaw, very much strong cheekbones. You can literally see the temporal lobe right here, like on like very pronounced temporal lobe on like his left side of like his right side of his face in the shadow. The left side you can still kind of tell it's there, but it's not like completely visible. Like this guy is fucking looks badass as shit, right? I don't really give a shit that he's black. I care that he looks cool, right? And he feels like he fits there.
The most offensive being the major of the Cadian guardsmen, who is an Indian woman, an ugly one at that.
I mean, she's definitely not ugly. Like, what's ugly about this? Like, she's definitely not a 10, but she's not ugly, right? Like, the makeup also obviously hurts her, because she's got that fucking overused Indian makeup that I don't like. Like, I like it when it's shiny, but like this is clearly more gritty. Like when it gets to like that, like wash your fucking eyes, you know? But like she's not ugly. I mean, I guess this scar isn't really like this. Like the sexy scar is like vertical, not horizontal on the cheek. But otherwise, like it's not ugly. She's definitely not hot, right? Like I wouldn't like date her or want to marry her, basically, the way she is. But also, she's a fucking major in a military. Like, I don't think like he's ever seen like military women. They don't look hot. They look kind of like this, right? They usually have slightly shorter hair too. Also you got Henry Cavill. I love how he's like complaining about wokeness, but you got like Henry fucking Cavill right there, right? Like Henry Cavill isn't woke. I mean, obviously it's probably like just some really strong looking dude that kind of looks like him, because Henry Cavill is basically Giga Chad, the guy. But yeah, like even though there actually is a Giga Chad the guy, Henry Cavill also is like Giga Chad the guy, right? Like there's a reason he was the face of Superman, and was also like the only good, like his solo film was the only good Snyderverse film, right? The Snyder Cut was way better than the Joss Whedon like Justice League, but it wasn't like it made the movie like a zillion times better it was good. It made it a zillion times better, so it was like passable, right? Man of Steel was the only good movie in the Snyderverse, right? Like James Gunn is killing it, right? Because like he actually understands that some superheroes just should be like more like of a happy kind of thing, right? Now the thing with like Superman the thing with James Gunn is he usually writes misfits, right? Like he writes misfits extremely well, right? Like Guardians of the Galaxy, it was his baby with the MCU. And then like what he did with DC, like his first things were, Creature Commando and the Suicide Squad, right? These are misfits, right? Like these aren't heroes, they just aren't villains kind of thing. They're like anti-villains, right? They're villains, but they do the right thing. So like anti-villains, right? You know, they do the right thing for the wrong reasons. They clearly are evil, but they still do the right thing in the end. So like anti-villain, right? Like not anti-hero. Because for me, anti-hero is like they're heroic, but they do bad things to like get a good means, right? These aren't anti-heroes either, you know. I feel like anti-villain archetypes can be cool if they're written right. I say it can be cool if they're written right because obviously the first Suicide Squad was not that.
Indian woman, an ugly one at that.
Dude, what the fuck, man? It's so weird. This is such a weird thing to do. But the craziest part is, when the games are successful, they change their tune instantly. They turn around and they say that the game is actually anti-woke.
Yeah, that's just stupid shit. Like, also, Endymion is like I literally just have a video where I make fun of his bullshit thumbnails, right? I like to be fair, I also make fun of Yellow Flash too. I do somewhat respect Yellow Flash too, but like, yeah, like dog, like it's looked shit. I'm just gonna be honest. Also, I love this spits on Sweet Baby Ink. No, I'm pretty sure they just don't use it. Like it's the same like Endymion trying to say like they use like CD Projekt Red uses them too because he can't understand that Sweet Baby Inc. is just a small consultancy company and they only work on like 5 or 6 games a year and that they already have their quota filled, right? So they can't even work on it. Like there might be another far left woke the consultancy company, sure. There just might also not be. It might just be that the company itself is left leaning. You know, like most people like didn't like they also like are like there's no way they didn't hear about Sweet Baby Inc. unless they were living on a right. Most people don't use Twitter every day. Like people are on Twitter. I saw this. Most people don't use Twitter every day. Like you realize that most people, like functional adults, don't use Twitter every day. You use it like once a week, maybe, right? If you're like a functional, like you want your brain cells to function. That's why they pay people to use the Twitter accounts. Because they don't want to deal with the bullshit that's on there, right? That's why you have community managers and shit that are on there.
The game makes the woke
mad. People like wonder why they're on there. That's why they're on there. Because they're the ones that get paid to like talk to y'all and deal with your bullshit. Because like a lot of that is bullshit. Like who the fuck wants to talk to this asshole, right? Or this asshole, right? Maybe like some of these guys are fans, but these guys don't really. This guy definitely doesn't even fucking play games. Like Yellow Flash 2, I've seen play a couple games here. I've also seen him enjoy One Piece, right? And Demi, I don't even think he's even enjoyed anything like at all, right? Like he just goes with the flow of the opinions of other people rather than having his own opinion. And this is why like I don't like anti-wokeness. It's that. What are your opinions, right? I don't care what your audience opinions are, Endymion. What are yours? Because you should be making your audience, not your audience should be making you, right? Audience capture is retarded. If your audience says, you can't, we're going to unsubscribe if you like a game we don't like. You know, I say to that, fine, I'm gonna like this game anyway, motherfucker. You're not gonna change my opinion by acting like a retard, right? If I like a game that you don't like, it doesn't matter what you think. I'm going to like that, and I'm not going to hide what I like and, be a fucking, be a fucking NPC. I'm not an NPC, I'm a person. I don't go by what my audience likes. I go by what I like, and then my audience grows around that. Because now I'm capturing my audience. My audience isn't capturing me, right? If you build it, they will come, as they say, right? So I'm making what I want and sharing that. And if less people like it, so be it. And if more people like it, hell yeah, right? That's the thing, right? Like that's how it should be. But Endymion just wants to, a lot of these guys just want to like be a carbon copy of their audience, which is just NPC-ness. Like you can't have your own opinion, right? bad.
Which fucking one is it? Clearly it can't be woke means bad game and anti-woke means good game, right? That would be so stupid. Surely the people making this content have some actual convictions and backbones behind them and don't exclusively...
Also, yeah, character creator in RPGs is bad. Like Critical Drinker, obviously, I don't think plays games that much, so that kind of makes sense, I guess. But like those are like RPGs where you create the role you play. That's why they exist, right? Not every RPG does that. Like a lot of JRPGs don't do that, mainly because like they found out, hey, we just craft a story instead of, have you craft it, right? Because like the thing about like all the dialogue options and stuff in Western RPGs is kind of like a way to kind of like simulate role playing, because you might say something different than like what they might intend, right? You aren't the only like they want you to experience the world kind of how you like it, so they give you more options, including how to look, right? Like that's how it works. Now, Dreading Age Veilguard's character creator is bad because you can't fucking be anyone attractive, right? Like, I've got no ass, no tits, like, the faces look ugly. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's bad. But not every character creator is like that. In fact, most aren't. So it's not really a character creator problem. It's that the game itself just is bad, right?
Actively look at things based on how many women are in it, or how many black people are in it, or how many brown people are in it, or if there are gay or trans people in it. That would be
Which is
too
funny
dumb.
because
Surely
a lot
this
of
must
games have all of that and no one cares, right?
be some form of
Like,
analysis.
no one really cares if that's a thing. I mean, look at Cult of the Lamb, right? Like, gay as fucking... Like, that's funny is these guys never talk about these games because they know that their audience is already playing a lot of gay shit. Like, look at what happened with Mark Curtin when he tried to go after Hades 2, right? It got slapped, right? Like, every single thing he tried to say, first off, it was like, he tried to use the Hades 1 art for Hades to criticize Hades 2. People dunked on that and all sorts of other things, right? Because that just shows he doesn't play a game before he reviews it or talks about it. And he just has other people hand him shit. Another thing was like his Final Fantasy 14 shit, right? Remember that, Sviel? Where like everyone, like he's now crying being doxxed because his account, which is not a dox, it's a fucking account anyone can find, right? Like it's like you linked your Steam, people found it through your Steam, right? It's not a dox, everyone can find that shit, right? So they found out that despite spending 350 hours in the game, he hadn't had any of like the things that you would normally expect a player who was experiencing these things, like any of the expansions to have, right? Because you have to beat the main game to experience these expansions. So he's saying he spent 350 hours playing the expansion. He actually spent 300 hours like fishing. Which is fine, right? But it's not playing the game. You aren't experiencing the game, you're experiencing the fishing. Which is fine, but don't say that you're experiencing the game. Say you experienced the fishing. Like, you can get lots of fucking out of fishing in some of these games. Like, a lot of MMOs have really cool, like, mini-game stuff for crafting, right? And Final Fantasy 14 is no different. So you can get lost as fucking crafting, but just say you just spent 350 hours crafting. Like, motherfucker, like, be honest, you know?
Art itself. Well, if you're just as fed up with anti-woke crap showing up on your feed or people responding to it as I am, in which case I'm really sorry for subjecting you to this crap, you'll probably notice that there's a through-line pattern with this. They only ever punch down, but they only ever punch down to failing projects. See, you can't make the case of go woke, go broke if something woke is making a lot of money in your eyes. So you are forced to capitulate on this. You are forced to go back and say, actually, the Space Marine game that we just said was a bunch of woke propaganda. Actually, that's a super macho men thing, and the woke people, they hate this game. Is there any analysis
Yeah,
of...
like this is a thing. Like they said that, like they try to say that with Marvel Rivals and shit. The only one they really had any like spade in the thing, right, was with what was it? Like the only thing they actually had anything to do with, like that was actually kind of accurate, was Hogwarts Legacy, and even then, a lot of woke people liked it. If you like want to actually define wokeness properly, it's just there was a boycott. Like the boycott wasn't even that big. Is another thing, right? Everyone's like, the boycott was so massive. No, it was so dedicated. It was a few thousand people, that most of which were nobodies on any social media platform, that followed like a couple VTubers. And every single one of them got clowned at, right? Because it was like, dog, you're harassing people for wanting to play a game. Like, I'm trans. I like Harry Potter, though. I don't like J.K. Rowling's, like, transphobic rhetoric a lot of times. I also find the fact that she's obsessed with us more than she is with her fucking books anymore is very disgusting and disturbing. Like, bitch, you wrote some actual good books. Why don't you talk about, like, your fucking Harry Potter spinoff that's gonna suck because, like, they're changing everything and stuff, right? We're not talking about that. We're talking about trans people 24/7, right? Like, bitch, you did good things like 10 years ago. I used to love your work. I still love your work. You don't work anymore, right? Like, you know, like that's my thing, right? Like, that's how probably like most trans people feel about her, right? Most trans people don't hate her. They hate what she's become, kind of thing. You occasionally see like some bullshit propaganda. She was never good. She's racist or something. Most people don't think that. Whether they're trans or not, most people recognize, yeah, she's gone off the rails and she needs to fucking get back on the rails. But otherwise, I mean, their books are good. I'm not going to shit on that, right? And that's the thing, right? Like, the anti-woke crowd tries to say that the wokeness is a homogenous unit, right? No? Why would anyone think that? Right? Like, the entire, like, criticism of the LGBT thing with, like, the LGB and without the T and shit that people talk about is that people, like, these aren't the same movements even, right? Like, yeah, LGBT, like, unites two different movements effectively, right? Not everyone is as united in those goals as they probably should be. Because, you know, like, the thing that J.K. Rowling doesn't, like try to spin, so trans people, like, there was someone who said if trans people's rights start to go away, so does everyone else's, right? And J.K. Rowling tried to say, well, trans rights existing is going to be the downfall of everything else. And not trying to take the rights away, because the rights also, you know, coincide with other rights. And so when you take away trans rights, you start to take away the rights of femboys and drag queens and all that, which then goes into the gay community, which then, you know, you start to go into like a lot of women's rights as well and shit, right? Because in order to actually, actually like shit, like effectively just make a policy against trans people, you have to trickle up into all the other groups. So just don't. Like, it's not like pedophiles, right? If someone rapes a kid, that's an action, not like a identity, right? Like, if you identify as a pedophile, you're just a fucking retard, right? If you actually fuck a kid, you're a fucking piece of shit, and you need to go to prison, and probably like in a wood chipper, actually, not a prison, but, you know, like, that's the thing, right? Like, but actual pedophilia is, you know, a bad thing, right? But someone, like, being, like, in a dress, like, in the privacy of their own, like, home or whatever, right? Why is that a crime? no one can tell you, right? But the thing is, right, that's not even what's being criminalized in most cases, right? Funny enough, I'm actually against the left on a lot of like the rhetoric with like the anti-LGBT stuff with Florida, right? If you actually look at Florida's like actual laws, there's only one I'm uncomfortable with, and that's like the no trans women or trans girls actually in sports thing. And it's not because I even think trans people should be in, like, trans women should be in sports. I don't like think they should be in women's sports. The thing is, the way they have to go about that punishes girls more than it punishes, because like the thing is, right, if people are going to suspect, oh, ugliness is trans, right, so then they put them through a genital inspection when anyone is ugly, right? So that means all the girls that would probably perform good at the sport, right, all the all the girls that like are like stronger but and more buff, right, because they work out as more, will be put through this, and then they will, it will be humiliating. They will still be proven a girl, but they won't want to be on the team anymore. So what happens is all this girls teams start sucking even more than they already do, and then they just drop them as a thing because no one wants to do them. And you see the problem there, right? Like why I don't see, it doesn't even affect trans women that much. It affects actual women way more negatively, right? The only trans policy, like the only anti-trans policy most people bring up, right, is like the drag queen ban, right? Which says that if you dress in drag, there can't be kids around in like certain like events, right? So if you're at a bar, an adult drag show, right, you can't have kids there. Like if it's an adult drag show, you can't have kids there. That's the Florida law. Why were there kids there in the first fucking place? You know what I mean? Like that should be illegal. Right? Like people in a adult like sexual space. Now my thing is, I also think like kids shouldn't be allowed in stripper bars, right? I think like Hooters is kind of pushing it, right? I don't think that like it's bad to have adults act sexually in front of adults. I think it's bad to have them do it in front of children though. And now with a site, you kind of don't really know necessarily. It's hard to manage, and the only ways to manage it is to have people give up their own like freedoms and privacy, right, with IDs and stuff. I don't agree with that. So what happens is parents just got to be parents when it comes to online, right? Parents should spend more time looking at what their kids watch and stuff, right? And stuff like that. Like I'm just saying, parents need to be parents more. That's how you deal with that. But like everyone's like talking about anti-trans stuff. Most people don't care. Like Donald Trump doesn't care. Like about these things. Like if they're not actually molesting kids or something, Donald Trump fucking doesn't give a shit. Like why would he? He's a billionaire. He probably gets a lot of money from these like allegedly pedophilic industries that people try to like dog on, and they're just completely wrong, right?
The text or the stuff in the game that makes them change their mind? No, it's exclusively the money and the success the game sees. If Space Marine 2 was a bad game, they would hone in on whatever cherry-picked number of developers they could find.
Oh yeah, like this is the thing, right? Like Baldur's Gate 3, like the problem with like wokeness is that there actually is a problem with a lot of these games. The problem with the games though is pretty obvious, right? And I always explain this like I think pretty well, right? People don't like tokenism, virtue signaling, and stuff like that in anything, right? Like it doesn't matter if it's hiring someone in real life or just in a role in a movie, right? Like those are bad. People don't like, oh hey, we're doing this cool thing that'll be good for you. But then, in real life, they don't care. A good way, what a good analogy is that I haven't used yet? someone who goes to church and is very devout every Sunday, like they're all holy, holy, and in the moment they get home, they beat the shit out of their wife. Right? Nobody likes that asshole. He's a holier than thou, self-righteous retard, right? No one likes those pieces of shit. That's what I feel like is the greatest, like, example of, like, more right-wing behavior that is literally the same as what people don't like about what when they say wokeness. Like, when normal people say it, that's what they refer to. And yeah, that's bad. Yeah, like you pretend to have moral values that you actually don't to signal people for money. Yeah, that's not good, right? But not everyone with a gay character is doing that. And that's why like those movies tend to succeed, because people like those. People don't like movies that pander to them, and especially when they don't even agree with the things they're saying. It's like that's kind of a thing, right? Like, not every corporation actually, has what you think it does. You know what I mean?
With any left-leaning politics anywhere on any of their social medias. Which, mind you, for anti-woke... It's brain-rotting me, I can't even say it. For anti-woke content creators includes a character happening to be black and a space marine. Damn, didn't know the Codex Astartes fucking allowed for communism. Like, it's so clear to see that I think the average person is actually starting to get a little bit fed up with the anti-woke crap being pushed. That at this point,
like, people are actually fed up with both sides, right? They're fed up with, like, shit like Concord, obviously. You know, like, when it gets too bad, they're fed up with it. But they're also fed up with, like, the YouTube shit. Like, dog, like, I can figure out if I don't like a game by looking at the trailer, my guy. I don't need to fucking watch you, right? Like, that's really what it comes down to. Everyone's, like, talking about pattern recognition and all this bullshit. Yeah, I can recognize patterns. I look at the trailer and see I don't like it. I don't need to watch you to have me, like, figure that out. I know I don't like it because I'm looking at it and it didn't look fine.
Seeing more people making fun of these people than actually doing this stuff. Because they're getting so desperate and grasping at so many straws.
Yeah, this is the same thing that happened with Gamergate 1, by the way. This is why it's so stupid, right? Everyone's like, we won. And then, like, they just rename shit. It's like Kirsch pointed out. The reason why no one's going to hire all these people you want to hire is because they're corporate, right? Corporations want to hire the top talent they can for the lowest dollar, right? So they want to have the best they can get for the cheapest amount, right? So, you know, if you want to go there, you can do two things. Either lower your price well below that of, like, the Indians that are going to come and replace it, you know, the DEI shit, right, with the H-1Bs. Or instead of that, right, instead of that rubbish, you can just get good and make your own company and keep it small and tight-knit as an indie and not try to go corporate ever. You won't be anywhere near as rich as them, but you'll exist as a, quote, a competitive threat to them. And because of just that existence as a competitive threat, you will keep them in line, right? And that's why, like, all this shit is happening, really, if you want to complain about it like that. Because the only one who's doing anything is Eric fucking July, right? Eric July, like, is the only one on the anti-woke sphere who's fucking made comics and shit as a small business, right? Everyone else is like, oh, we gotta hype up Grums to never make Ember, right? Like, people forget, that's why everyone hates his ass. People don't even give a shit about his politics anymore. They just care that he hasn't fucking made his game. Like, people dog on him for his politics sometimes, right? But most people are mad because he hasn't made a game in 8 years that he said he was going to make a vertical slice for. A vertical slice is about 2 months of work for, like, someone of his expertise. It's been not 8, it's going on 9 years. Where's the fucking vertical slice? Well, it doesn't exist. Well, that's weird, right?
That their mask is starting to slip from it. The grift is getting exposed. If I can watch a new game trailer and instantly know from the first frame, oh, this new Dragon Age trailer that happens to have a woman in it, there's gonna be an outrage about her not being hot enough. Or there's gonna be outrage about her existing at all. They're gonna say that Dragon Age, a game made by BioWare, has gone woke.
Are you pro-child mutilation? Well, good news. You can live out...
Also, I love that. Yeah, I've had a... You know, funny enough, the only time my genitals have been mutilated is from a hernia surgery. Because that's what that is. It's a surgery involving your genitals. Well, actually, I might have been circumcised. I actually don't remember. I don't know. Yeah, I think I also might be circumcised. So I have two. One was religious, and the other was for like life-saving medical treatment. So, like, even with that, right? No, like, my guy, like, that just means they had surgery, right? Right, like, and most people also don't have those surgeries as a child. I actually am against that even being a concept for transness anyway. Like, the only time I think you should have, like, a surgery down there is... Like, I don't even think circumcision should be legal, I'm going to be honest, when it comes to kids. I think the only time you should have a surgery on your genitals is if it's, like, a hernia or, like, maybe you got burned and you actually need to get it fucking removed to fucking survive. Because that can actually happen. Very rare, but you might actually have it, like, you get burnt, your fucking dick gets burnt so bad that you actually, you know, it will never function anyway, and, like, like, let's not get into that, but, like, there's a lot of fires going on, that's why I brought that one up. But yeah, if you have a bad injury or whatever that you need surgery on that part, or if it's, like, a hernia, that's the only times I can think about it, right? It shouldn't be used as a trans thing, right? Trans, honestly, I'm going to be honest, trans should only be social as a kid. If you are doing any, like, HRT or puberty blockers, you know, something's wrong with the system there. Because I'm not going to say, like, the kid's the one in the wrong, right? If you're wearing dresses and shit, it's your, like, whatever. Like, it's your clothes, right? You know, like, I feel like it's your body should be 18 plus. It's your, like, outfits and stuff should be any age, though. Right? Like, hey, look, you bought the clothes. Who the fuck cares, you know? Like, if you can buy your own clothes at, like, 14 and you want to wear a dress, why do I care, right? You know, but I do agree with him that shouldn't happen, but also, it's not that common. It's like a lot of these things, like, the real problem with, like, the propaganda is that it's not, like, common. Like, people, like, talk about, like, trans women in sports, right? I disagree with that, right? I don't think trans women should be in women's sports, like, not. But how many are in there? Well, like maybe, like, 10. Well, why are we complaining about 10 people, right? And then they'll, like, say, but they're, like, destroying them, and then they also don't. Right, like they do kind of like myth.
That fantasy in the new Dragon Age game.
Well, like, you look at, like, that track runner, right? She did what, 6,000th place. So a trans woman scores 6,000th place. Literally gets beat by 7-year-old kids. But because she beat, like, some actual women too, we're mad at that, right? Like, I don't even think, like, what's the biological advantage there that you're losing to a 7-year-old, both of you, right? Like, do you think Usain Bolt would fucking lose to that? Right? Like, honestly, I feel like that should be, like, more of, they're pathetic than they're, like, then they're like too strong. Like, yeah, they beat some women. They also lost to some women and a bunch of little kids, right? I saw someone like try to justify that, saying, like, but little kids are better at running. How the fuck are little kids better at running than women? Like, if that's if that actually is true, you know what that means? Right? That women aren't doing the sport enough. They're not training hard enough. And that's why they're losing little kids. Why else would you lose to a little fucking kid? Like you have more muscle mass, you're bigger, your legs are longer, you've got more lung capacity. If you train, it doesn't matter what sex you are. You're going to be able to run longer and faster than a child. It doesn't matter like your gender at that point. So the fact that they all lost to kids tells me that either it was a charity thing and all the kids were like put ahead anyway, and so like you can't trust any of the results of the race to be accurate, and so like, yeah, the trans woman winning would be a fluke that would be planned in the first fucking place because it's a charity. Or another possibility is that none of those women, including the trans women, were actually that trained, and that literal kids who never trained in their life could beat them all. There are two options there, and none of them look good for the performance of the women, like versus trans women being like this massive disadvantage, right? If literal kids are the ones winning everyone, like, it's most likely a charity case, obviously. Like, that's my like theory, is that it's staged for a charity, right? To like look cool, right? But it might not be. It might just be that the kids are just way better than the competitors because the competitors just suck, right?
I'm not even gonna dignify that with a response.
But like, in boxing, right? Like, the reason why I hate the Amani Khalif shit is because she's not trans. It's not she's trans and this is transphobic. Is that she's not even trans, right? She's not born a man. Like, the evidence that they have, like I've talked about that, is a single sheet of tissue paper from a French guy who is, like, smart, sure, that said something, but has provided zero proof that it actually exists. So a guy says something in France, and that's proof of what? Besides he said something, right? Okay, he said something. We can prove that he said something. But what does it prove of his actual claim? Right, we can prove that the claim exists. Where's the proof that the thing he's claiming is true? Well, we don't have any. So we're making claims based on the assumption that this guy can't lie or something, right? He is not human because he can't lie, right? He doesn't have the human ability to lie. I don't know about that. I think that's a little stupid, dude. Like, just trust someone with like zero actual reason to.
All this brings me to Exhibit A of this mask slipping, Andy Pants Gaming.
Today, I want to talk about the great pussification of video games that has happened.
No, what's pussy about this? This is dudes dancing, right? This is the funniest shit. Like, he's saying
past
this
20
is
years.
gay. Those are dances you can do on any character, right? So they're probably meant for females, but you can do them on both because they don't gender lock the dances, right? Secondly, you can also just not do those dances, like, at all if you don't like them, right? Thirdly, like, dudes do stupid shit all the time, right? Like, I always joke about this, but the gayest thing you will ever see is called 10 straight men in a gym locker room. Now, if you want to know why would you, if it's just 10 dudes in a locker room, right, that are straight, why would you emphasize that they are straight, right? Because most people assume, like, okay, most people are going to be straight, right? Gay people are a small percentage of the population. If there's only 10, statistically, it's like, especially where we are, it's probably all going to be straight guys, right? Well, the point is that the straight is a subversive thing that you say as like a fetish for like gay people. That it's stupid, right? But like, that's the gayest shit you'll ever see. because the word straight there is a subversion to make it even gayer somehow. I don't know why. I feel like gay conversions, like from straight to gay, like in gay porn, are like the gayest shit ever. I might be wrong. There might be something gayer than that, but like that to me is the gayest shit you'll ever say, right? But like that's the thing, right? Like they say straight as a subversion because it's a gay porn, right? Where you see a bunch of dudes fucking each other in a gay orgy in a gym room, right? You got a bunch of like sweaty like gym bros with massive muscles just fucking each other in the asses. And like apparently that's straight, right? So like yeah, that's the gayest shit you'll ever see. But you know, like people will do like pseudo gay shit all the time. Like anytime you see a dude in a locker room, regardless, there's some gay shit happening, but they're probably with a bunch of straight guys anyway, right? Like that's kind of another reason why like that title exists, is that a lot of gay shit happens between straight dudes in the locker room. It's not gay sex, but it's like they'll like slap you in the ass with a towel or something, right? If you walk out wrong or something like that, right? Like anyone who's been in a gym locker room, especially in high school or college, knows what the fuck I'm talking about. Those are the gayest fucking rooms in any fucking like place, right? But like it's not like they're gay, it's just that dudes act gay as shit around other dudes at that age, right? It's weird, definitely, but like it's also mostly straight dudes. Because the thing is, like gay dudes, like at that age, tend to be less composed about it. Like they tend to be less proud of it, and you get more proud as you get older, really. Because like you're kind of a little ashamed. You're still openly gay, but you're more like ashamed of it than you probably should be. So you don't like that behavior, right? But dudes do that all the time. So like him calling that as gay is the funniest shit ever, because most people who do that are straight.
Dude might have just fucked the pooch for the entire industry of anti-woke stuff, because he got exposed, and if he gets exposed, that means any number of these clowns can get exposed for the grift they're pushing.
I have found that there are still people out there who deny the simple fact that games have gone woke, homo, and gay in 2024. So in this video, I'm going to literally prove it to you using science.
This is such a dumb idea.
Using
First
science,
off, I can use...
He doesn't use science. So in order to use science, right, you'd have to actually like do tests, and like have a hypothesis and stuff like that. He doesn't have it. He doesn't use the scientific method. He uses statistics, which would be someone else already did the science, I guess, right? But he doesn't do the science, right? There's no like logic to his hypothesis at all either.
Easily do this the other way around, where I call stuff like Mass Effect, Gears of War, Halo 2, all these other games woke and trash because they have women in them, or because there's a Rainbow Road in Mario Kart, and they made Peach wear pants, oh my god, and turn around and say that games released today are real macho men stuff. Is there a nugget of truth that games used to be much more catered towards a specific demographic in the past, and nowadays are a bit more diverse with what they choose to market to? Yes.
Well, absolutely. Because the games industry is like 10 times as large as it was 10 years ago. Right? Like, gamers aren't the minority anymore. And so, like, that's the thing, right? Like, normalization of, like, anime and gaming and all that, it tends to lead to a corporate soulless thing. Right? But, like, there were always, like, gay and trans and whatever in every community, right? From any nerd community. It isn't really, like, new either. Right? Like, this has been a thing. The thing is, right, like, it's not, oh, nerds, whatever. No. It's that, you know, people have always been, like, you know, part of these things. the thing that people don't really get, right, is that, like, sometimes just things just get more popular over time. Like, a good example, right? One of the most popular furry artists right now is Chuni, right? He's just a gay, like, bar artist, right? The reason why he's so popular is because he is, like, very, like, much dedicated to doing his art very regularly, right? And it's very high quality art. So he does all this really good high quality art consistently. So he's one of the most popular artists because he's the most consistent in the fandom. And so it's a bunch of gay dudes. So the fandom gets gayer because of that. But it's not because he is making them gay or whatever. It's that, you know, he's just more popular because he's the one who has the best work ethic. And so that's the thing. If all the straight people have fucking zero work ethic, of course he's going to come out on top, you know? The other thing is, like, he focuses more on, you know, fun, right? And so, like, fun, like sexy fun or just, like, kinky stuff. You get the idea, right? And so because of that, people tend to, like, flock around that, right? This is why, like, I hate it when people are like, oh, it's grooming to have any porn on the internet. Because people might just, like trigger something inside them or whatever, right? No, like, the reason why sex sells is because sex sells. We're human beings. We like to fetishize things biologically, right? Like, so, like, you would have to, like, completely remove all references to the topic and make all anthro characters ugly, right? In order to have that standard be a thing. And that's the thing, right? Like, in order to get people to hate a group of people, you have to make them ugly. Which is why I don't like a lot of, like, the AAA, like, stuff, because they're like, we gotta make trans people, and we gotta, like, include ugly people. So then they make an ugly trans person. That's not good. That's not good. But then you, like, have Marvel Rivals, which also has, like, Venom, which is basically, like, a plural, right? Which is a sort of trans identity. Caked as fuck, sexy as fuck. Venom is got it, good, you know? And that's, like, the thing, right? Like, people don't care because he's sexy as fuck, right? People don't care that there's gay characters and stuff because they're sexy as fuck.
But what you're forgetting is that's because the broader purchasing base of the market changed. It didn't change because of woke agendas. It changed because more people of different backgrounds started playing games. And not only that, because the core gaming player base of that time got sick of the Macho Man machismo games.
I'll be glad when the modern warfare bubble blows over and we can end the tyranny of realism. I've spent more time making US Marines lurch slowly through desert and jungle environments looking for bits of wall to hide behind while their legs grow back than I've spent having sex. I'm starting to get aroused by damaged masonry.
Yeah, that's right. If you were sentient enough in the 2010s to remember this, people hated games like Call of Duty, or even to an extent games like Gears of War, for their muddy brown palettes. For the fact that every shooty McGun Bang Bang guy was kinda the same. By 2013, there was a significant shift.
People like games of, like, different types, right? Like, Stuttering Craig is a huge Metroid fan, obviously, right? Like, every time, like, that's one thing that will always be consistent with him. He likes Metroid shit. So, not everyone likes Metroidvanias in indie, though. You've noticed, because they're everywhere, right? Like, Craig, you can just play indies. You'll have every game will be either a roguelike or a Metroid clone, right? Just have the time of your life. Just stop playing AAA, play indies. You'll have the time of your fucking life, right? Because those are, like, the games he loves, right? But, like, that's the thing, right? You know, not everyone likes that. So, like, people are like, why don't we have games like this anymore? It's because people don't like him as much. Because it's the same thing with like, why you can't do that anymore in movies. You can. It might not make as much money because people might be tired of it though. Right? You absolutely can do things in movies, right? The things is theaters, you know, they have like some control because they need a publisher and stuff and all that, right? But otherwise, you can make a movie. There is nothing stopping you from making an idea in a movie other than like stuff like Cuties where it's against the law.
Shift to have games that were more different, not even to be inclusive, just to keep it fresh. You would know this if you were making an actual analysis on how these demographics change through time, but they're not doing that because they're grifters. How can you make a video about the pussification of games while Space Marine 2 is out there doing numbers right now? There's a new Doom game on the horizon, and one of the biggest games of the year was fucking Helldivers. What? I don't understand. That's a lie. I do understand. It's because they're grifters. This is all a front. And when it's so fucking transparent that people like the Act Man are calling you out on it, that means you've lost the plot. You've lost the pulse on this. You're just an annoying weirdo.
Hey, that I've grown since then and I've moved on from former views.
Yeah, you've moved on from the Xbox console warrior grift to the
100%.
Anti-LGBTQ grift.
Sure, if that's what you want to call it. Have you?
That's what it is, man.
Almost every single one of these anti-woke grifters, if you scroll far enough down on their page, you stop seeing the anti-woke content because they always have a shift. This Andy Pants Gaming dude, he used to make content about the console war stuff. He used to be an Xbox meat rider. He used to say positive things about diversity in games.
We have a funny quote from you. I found your old video on political bias in game journalism. And again, it's like, this is a good take. But see, like, the audience you've cultivated is not going to like something that you say here.
Oh, great. I can't wait.
Yeah, these are your words. The more gay, lesbian, trans, and female characters we have in games, the better. The more diverse perspectives we have in games, the better they will always be. This isn't really lining up with the direction your channel is going in, does it?
Yeah.
He realized he could be making a lot more money if he went the other way.
The same video, mind you, where he said this.
Now, guys, just first off, I have no interest in a political debate. I don't want to get political about this because I honestly don't care.
After that, boom, boom, back to back. And then, after his masculinity video blew up, boom, 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 boom! 4 videos about gay people back to back.
Remember the Starfield pronouns guy? He used to make videos about just like World of Warcraft. Now, am I saying that these people didn't used to have bigoted beliefs and are putting on a show or a front to get more money? I don't think that's true completely. I think some of them probably believe the awful shit they spew out, but it's funny to me that this isn't something they've harped on all the time, and once they realize it is a lucrative business opportunity, every new thing, every new trailer, every new game preview, it's always woke. Then if the game is bad, they punch down on it some more, and if the game is good, they pretend it didn't exist or make excuses for why it's actually not that woke. They do this every time. A great example of all this nonsense is Concord. Concord has some objectively terrible character designs. Now, is this because the artists behind it were not skilled? Is this because of poor concept art? Is this because of poor direction to try and make their characters look different? I don't know. I cannot pinpoint it down to one thing, and neither can you. But to say that these look objectively terrible because the characters have pronouns and aren't all just straight white dudes is laughably dumb. The more realistic option is that they just had a poor understanding of silhouette rules, color theory, and general visibility and legibility within a hero shooter. That makes way more sense to me than this is because it was woke. But even when you try to make that analysis of it, you get pushback from these morons who think that if the game had less pronouns in it, it would be a better game. Concord is a terrible fucking game. Making it so that all of the characters were white dudes in generic milsim outfits wouldn't change the fact that the game sucked. So
right, yeah, like, I feel like that's the thing. Like, Marvel Rivals is, like, not even anti-woke. But what it is it's a good fucking game, right? Like, my girlfriend and I played it, right? So there was a thing, like, a friend of mine, like, from, like, 5 years ago, right? When, like, oh, it's like 7 years ago. Overwatch was, like, brand fucking new. Like, just put it in this perspective. Overwatch was brand fucking new. And we were talking about, like, it with, like, in arguing with a few other friends about, like, a mechanic he brought up where, like, what if, like, they could team up with, like, a special bonus that only that character and another character could do, right? And we were talking about that mechanic, and everyone, like, denounced it because they were like, you should be good on yourself, right? Like, what you do should be what you do, and there shouldn't be, like, any specific, like, specials, right? Lo and behold, Marvel Rivals comes out, and that's one of my favorite fucking features about it. Like, if you have a certain team comp, you get bonuses with, like, abilities near those team members, and they can be overpowered sometimes. And that's good. Like, that's really Gucci, right? And that's kind of the thing, right? Like, depending on the game itself, right? Like, you might like something more or not.
Sizing it on that basis is purely dishonest. It's a grift.
But, like, that's the thing, right? Like, I thought that feature would be good, and it was proving right with Marvel Rivals, right? But, like, people are saying, oh, it's anti-woke now, because everyone's playing it, including all the woke people, which is funny. It's so anti-woke, all the woke people are playing it, right? Very astute observation. I guess it's so anti-woke. It's interesting to the woke people. No, it's woke, right? It's the same thing with, like, Joker, right? Joker was smeared by, like, some, like, bullshit journalist as far right, and then you watch it, and it's very left wing, right? Like, the movie is absolutely nothing like what was described by the authorities, right? Of, like, reviews and shit. It literally, the media lied to you, and that caused a Streisand effect, because when you lie to someone about something to try to stop them from watching it, and then one person decides to go watch it and finds out you lied, they start telling all their buds, then they go, and then that word of mouth gets $1 billion, right? And so you failed because you tried to censor someone for bullshit reasons, and then they found out that every single thing you said was a lie, and so they're like, dog, why the fuck, you know? And this is the thing, like, Streisand effects usually involve journalism. I think the only time they didn't primarily involve journalism was with the Hogwarts Legacy boycott once again. Like, you know, it's like a few thousand fucking, like, random people on Twitter. And it failed spectacularly, partially because of that Streisand effect from the boycott, though. Right? Like, everyone was calling it transphobic. Then you play the game and you see that you can be trans in the game, and you play, like, past the first couple, like, hours, and you see that there's a trans character in the story, and then you keep playing it, and she's actually kind of important. Like, she's not, like, a massive importance, but she's not, like, a nobody either. So, like, you have a clear, objective, it's not transphobic evidence in the game itself. So, yeah, now J.K. Rowling might be a turf piece of shit, but the game itself isn't. So, yeah, I don't see I don't care, right?
Same goes with any of these other games that become punching bags for them. Having a diverse and unique game cast can, especially in things like hero shooters, be a benefit to them. I don't want all my characters in a game to look the exact same. I don't want every game that comes out to be about some
forgettable, mediocre performance of some 20 to 30-year-old guy that just somehow got into some predicament. He's so relatable.
Having multiple different genres of games be popular at the same time is a really good thing. Because when
I agree. Like, I mean, to be fair, that's always been the case since, like, the NES era. But yeah, still.
Industry starts to get complicit and stagnant.
Especially the SNES onward.
That's when we get terrible games.
2 fists, 2 wheels, no rules. Now, it's a little cheesy, but I already know one thing. This game has balls, but it gets better. A lone rider, Jake Conway, locked in a battle to the death against a ruthless gang of bikers called the Devil's Hand. Okay, and you got a hot chick on the back. Like, dude, I'm in. I want to play this game now.
He's talking about a game with a fucking 19 meta score and a worse user score. Does this not make it clear? That's when they all kind of start to blur together.
Yeah, like, what the fuck? That game looked like ass, to be honest.
If you are going out of your way to find games that do not appeal to you personally, if your critique of a game consists entirely
well, like, my thing is, it's okay to like awful games, but like, that was an awful game. Like, that was a dog shit video game. Like, it's okay if you like that, Indie Pants, but you know,
of surface level crap as opposed to actual faults within the game's design, production, business model, gameplay, story, you're a grifter. You don't actually give a shit about the art you're consuming. I didn't like Concord, but it was in a genre of games that I do like. Most of its problems for me were stuff within the game. They weren't things I could see by looking at it from a distance, aside from the character designs. You could tell that shit sucked from a mile away.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest.
These people are dishonest grifters. And I think the best way to end off this video is by using one of their own words about the topic itself. I would love to use the actual raw clip. This dude has purged his entire second channel because he realized people started digging into all the stuff he used to say that goes directly against what he wants to put out now. This goes for all of these fucking people, man.
So there's this thing you see on YouTube a lot now, and it's called grifting, and you see people like Luke Stevens and Asmongold doing it a lot, and it just basically means these people have no integrity whatsoever. And it basically means you just regurgitate whatever the popular opinion to have right now is. You have no integrity, and you will just regurgitate whatever people want to hear.
So, yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yeah, no, that's what I don't like about it, really.
Brain-rotting
It's not that it's not a different perspective. I watch Mentis Wave, for fuck's sake, right? That's probably like the most unique perspective on YouTube there is, right? Like, most people like have weird mixed opinions on him because he's a different guy. Now, I don't like everything he says. I've made videos disagreeing with him, right? Well, but that's the thing, right? Like, that's more unique content. Like, the Synthetic Man kind of as well, right? It's not that I like, hate right-wingers. It's that I hate, like, grifters, right? Like, hey, look, I have some conservative beliefs, I have some liberal beliefs, right? It doesn't fucking matter to me, like, what we're talking about with that. What matters is, like, that you're you, right? Like, I think, like, the real, like, thing I hate about grifters is I don't know them, right? Like, the problem I had with games journalists, like magazines back in the day, I didn't know who was fucking writing it. So if I agreed or disagreed, I don't know who I'm agreeing with at the company. I just know that IGN wrote a review, and I might agree with it or I might not. And I have no fucking idea what this means to me. Whereas they went on YouTube, and I could tell that person was consistent because they were reviewing games because they liked the games or they didn't like the games, and it gave them their perspective, not someone in the audience's, right? And that's why I don't like grifters, like in this case, because they're faker. Right, at least the journalists, the company is the fake part, right? A lot of the journalists might actually have this opinion. Back in the day, obviously. Nowadays, I don't even think that's true. But back in the day, journalists used to have their own opinions, but we didn't know who was speaking at the time, right? But YouTube was better for me because I knew who it was, and I knew I could trust them to be honest about their opinions about the game. And now I can't anymore. So what anti-woke YouTubers really did for me is ruin trust in YouTube reviews. That's what they really accomplished. I can't trust a YouTuber review on anything, especially if it's critical, because I don't know that that's their opinion and not regurgitated from some troll in the audience. And that's why I don't like these people. Right? Like, because when I watch a YouTuber, right, I want to hear about you. I want to know your stuff. I want to know what you like, what makes you proud, right? I want YouTube to be YouTube. These guys ruined that for me. And that's honestly all I have to say about that.